on the streets. We're okay with the carcass being sold. We're okay with small home industries using, drums to extract bone marrow. We're okay with it. And when I say we're okay with it, I mean, do we all think about it? Do we stop for a minute to think this is not the way things are supposed to be done? There's always a better way to do it. One, there's always a way to think about how to deal with the issue moving forward. There are countries to draw examples from. Turkey, Nepal. I mean, just see the way they deal with their stray animals. Stray animals, of course, have become, the talk of the day now. There's so much work being done there, and it's good to see the initiatives that people have taken. Again, I say collective, we have to have a collective wisdom that comes out of this conference that puts words into action on moving forward, how to enforce a minimum welfare standard, how to enforce the 5 freedoms, bring it into our legislation, bring it into the policies. So I think the first and foremost thing that should be talked about and should be looked at is how to change the laws. How to bring welfare, define welfare, bring in welfare standards, bring in strict punishments and enforcement against cruelty, acts of cruelty. I think this is fundamental. Cruelty of all kinds should be stopped. It's not good for any society that there is cruelty in that society. At a government level, the issue of animal welfare should gain priority. We must protect our wildlife, we must protect our endangered species. At a local government level, they must consider building shelters and strict enforcement against cruelty, rescue animals, dog culling, but more importantly, how to change the mindset, how to create awareness within the public that this is not something we can just ignore because they're just animals. They're not just animals, they're living beings. So you need legislation. You need policy at every level. You need policy at every level, particularly where there is no legislation. Sometimes a way forward through policy is effective because it gives guidelines on what to do and how to go about it. What you need after that is the most important thing. You need monitoring and enforcement. You need data. Before coming to this conference, I was looking for data. I was looking to see what is the state of our animals in Pakistan. Do I have data? And there was none. I could find how many cases of rabies there are and how many cases of rabies have been cured and how many dogs we've killed. But there was no data telling me what the overall position of the animals in this country are, or even if I wanted a breakdown of these categories and how they fare in these categories, there was no data. So I'm hoping that this initiative will also come out. Let's work on enforcement, on reporting, on monitoring, and on creating data. And I think all different NGOs who are working, they should put out their data and then some collective form of data should come out so that we become better, more aware as citizens as what the plight of these animals are and what our role can be. Research and development is also very important. Research on what the world is doing, examples from other countries, and more importantly, because we live in the global south area, let's learn from regions close by. Let's look at what they do with their animals and how they treat their animals and how they have improved the status of their animals. So research is also important. But I think the biggest challenge is public attitude, is at social attitude, public awareness. And this doesn't work by just having a few ads or campaigns. You can't change the mindset. Unfortunately, in our society, in our mindset, animals are not a priority. And how to give them that priority is what is important. Even though they're a part of the livelihood of many people in terms of livestock and in terms of labor force, nonetheless, they are not a priority as people. They're not a priority for us as people. We're not really thinking about our animals. We're busy thinking about other things, but not our animals. So I think it's important to understand how are we going to change the mindset? How are we going to work on building these attitudes towards thinking about animals in a more humane manner, animal welfare, looking at the rights of animals so that everybody understands that animals have rights. We also have to have specialized enforcement wings. This is important because different animals and different categories require different enforcement mechanisms. So you have to have different enforcement wings within the department. So even though we have a Ministry of Climate Change which says it's looking at species and how it's being affected, the question is, what have they done for the animals? Where is the enforcement? And again, I'll say that the enforcement is very, very limited. There is no enforcement, and in our entire disaster management plan, there is no plan for saving the animals. We don't even cater to that. So when we're thinking about monsoons, we're thinking about floods, we're thinking about drought, we're thinking about what to do for the people, but we're not thinking about what to do for the animals. So it's vital that we think about these things. And I think rightly said that COVID actually brought this out. We worried about all the humans, but we forgot about the animals. What about the animals? What about COVID during the animals? I have many cats. So I have rescue cats and I have pet cats. And COVID was a very difficult time for me and my cats because I had to think about protecting my cats from COVID, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to protect them. And so I think that's when you realize that, there is no thinking process here. We're not really thinking about the animals. So, over the next 2 days, as you sit in your rooms, you deliberate and you discuss. Think about what is the minimum standard of welfare care for animals that Pakistan should have. And what are the 5 freedoms that we want to ensure? Are we going to bring those into our conversations wherever they may be? Let us all commit to a future where animals are treated with dignity, with respect, and with care. Let us redefine welfare and enact laws which build a society's values that allow other beings to coexist and don't only focus on what humans need, but focus on what everyone needs. Together, if we have the right thinking, if we have the passion, and if we have the will, we can make Pakistan a leader in animal rights, in animal welfare, and we can show the world how well we take care of our animals. Thank you.